Hi everyone, this is Dr. Barnes, your tour guide for Chapter 2 in Word. This week I wanted to do this lecture video because the lesson's a little bit different and I wanted to make sure that we're all on the same page. So with that said, this video might be a little longer, but if you were sitting in class, it'd be the same amount of time. So expect this video to be probably a good 20 to 30 minutes. And so my apologies up front. Really quick, one thing that I'm discovering when I go into my IT lab, when I look at what needs to be done, as a student, I suppose you could go into the assignment calendar, but I'm finding it's a whole lot easier to go into the to do slash completed and then go into your to do. This allows you to see basically what's coming at you, like a checklist type thing. So just be mindful of that. Yes, you could use this view if you wanted to, the assignment calendar. I just much rather prefer this. But your brain may work differently than mine. This is just a suggestion, things that I've discovered. So when you go into your homework for Chapter 2, we're doing a cover letter, and so this is a little bit different. One thing that I do want to tell you about this is that some students are struggling with doing the download materials when you get to this screen. We have heard that when you do the download all files, you get the zip folder. And sometimes it doesn't open up all the way, or it opens up and it might be blank. And that's because you actually have to extract the files. So I am not going to be using that. What I ended up doing was just downloading one by one. So this is the cover letter that you're going to be using. You are going to download this and then you need to save this somewhere. I do an F12. You know, there's a couple of different ways to save. And the fastest way to save is F12. And the reason why I'm telling you this is because when you get ready to take your final for your test for the MOS certification for Word, you have 50 minutes and you have 40 questions. And doing an F12 saves you the time of picking up your mouse, moving it over to File, going down to Save As, and saving it somewhere. F12 is just one of those function keys that allows you to save as quickly as possible. So also, while I'm in here, let me just show you what I've done. I have created a BUSA 120 course, or file, excuse me, on my hard drive. And then I also am dividing this up by chapters. And then you see that I've got this saved already. So you may want to do that. That'll just save you some time and effort and some energy. Then next, you actually do have a file that is the your file that you're going to be using. And so you will want to have that ready to go. And then the last folder, excuse me, that you will want to download is the instructions. And so you'll notice, again, I did not do the download all files. We're hearing from students from the other sections that there are some issues doing that. So go ahead and just download each one that way. And here's the instructions. So let me go through this really fast with you. On these instructions, you will see that we are going to be completing activities 2.12 all the way through 2.21. It sounds like a lot, and it is, but it goes quickly. I've already worked through this a couple of times, and it probably, the first time I did it, it might have taken me maybe an hour, if that. And the reason why it took so long is how the questions read. Each person reads things differently and understands it differently, and so I just want you to be mindful of that. We will not be using this work assignment on your computer. There's the steps. I can bring this down, but Again, we're going to be using the other instructions. And then I am going to minimize this because this is how we upload our file. You may remember from chapter 1. So I'm going to leave those two things up. You need your book. Let me go back to the main menu for 1 second, because I want to show you in regards to bringing up your book, the Go book. You do need that. Whoops. So I went all the way out. Sorry about that. 1 second here. Course materials. One thing that I want to tell you is that the book will there's like some downloads, and it'll tell you, okay, which book do you want to do. Okay, so here, let me go in here. E-text. It is really slow. So you're going to see all of these like I see mine, even though I'm in teacher view. Just pick the first one. Instead of trying to go through all of those, picking the first one will actually bring you to this link, and then you click here, and then once you do that, it actually brings up the book. So we are going to Word. So here's your table of contents. And we're going to go into Word. We're going to go into chapter 2. And again, just to remind you, we are going to be starting with activity 2.12. And so you will be scrolling down and going into that. So what I've done is, and actually, you'll just click through. What I've done is I've actually printed off a copy for myself. I don't necessarily like reading it on the screen, but some of you may like that. And let me get there 1 second. So once you've gotten to your project activities 1.12, you will see these instructions. This is what we're going to be creating. And it doesn't take that long. That's why I'm saying you'll probably spend maybe a good hour, if that, taking a look at it. But this is your finished project, what it should look like. So be mindful of that. And that's found on page 234. I'll try to save you some time on that. So we're going to be building a template, and this is where it gets tricky. That's why I thought I should probably create a movie for you this week, so that you're not really left in the dark or really spinning your wheels. All right, I am going to get off of this, and I'm going to bring up my um, blank document here. And it does say start Word and display a blank document. Be sure formatting marks and rulers are displayed. I absolutely hate having the show hide on. I'm not a fan of that, but nonetheless, we're going to follow the rules. And then also it's saying to display the ruler. So if you think about viewing something, you will go to your view tab, and we've got a little radio box here. You just click that, and that turns it on, and you might have noticed that that just happened when I turned it on. So that's where you're going to find that. By the way, you really need to start memorizing where these buttons are. Again, I'm going to harp on this. It's 50 minutes for that final, and you've got 40 questions. So you really need to figure out where everything's at. The good news is that Microsoft Office, Bill Gates is a billionaire because he's super smart, right? Everything for all Microsoft Office programs, they all look the same except the color. So Word is blue, Excel is green, PowerPoint is orange, Access is red, and you've got Outlook and OneNote, SharePoint, Publisher. But basically, they're all the same. This is called your ribbon. This is referred to as the ribbon. So we are in the ribbon. Okay, so we've already finished up question number 1. Question 2 says on the Design tab in the document formatting group, click the paragraph spacing. So the Design tab, and we're going into the document formatting group, which is here, and now we're going to click on the paragraph spacing, and on the list, point to default, and so that's at the top. And then you will see that it's set before 0 and after 8 and line spacing 1.18. let me show you a quick trick. In the Home tab, and this is not in your instructions, I'm just showing you something. When you click this launcher, these are referred to as launchers, you will also see the same exact thing. Our spacing is 0, after is 8, multiple, and 1.08. However, we are going to follow the rules, and the reason why is that sometimes my IT lab wants you to do something a certain way, to change it one way, even though Bill Gates has given us, 3 or 4 different ways to skin a cat. Make sure you follow the rules though when you're doing your homework, as you don't want to miss that question. When you're taking the final, if there's a quicker way to do something, again, 50 minutes, 40 questions, then yeah, do it the shortcut way. Okay, so now number 4 says point to no paragraph space and notice the settings in the screen tip. So the no paragraph space style inserts no extra space before or after a paragraph and uses line spacing of 1. And this is the same format used for the line spacing commonly referred to as single space. And that's also what I just showed you back in the paragraph launcher. So go ahead and click no space, no paragraph space. And now that that is done, we have changed, and we'll just take a look in here. It says to 0 and single space. Let's go ahead and do some typing. We are going to type Jennifer Garcia and then press enter, and then you're going to type 1776 Bay Cliff Drive, comma Tampa, comma Florida, and then the zip is 33602, and then press enter. So what they want to show you with the paragraph spacings on, paragraph height show on, is that we are single spacing down. Again, I'm not a fan of those. Actually, they kind of are disruptive to me, but I'll leave them on so that you all can see what it looks like. Let's go ahead and type the telephone number next, and then you will also type the the email, and then press enter. Make sure that you proofread everything, because it will count you off if you have one typo. By the way, I did the simulation this week and it went really quick. But if there's a typo, it won't accept it, so just be mindful of that. So 7-2555, I do have a couple typos, 0347, and then we've got the email, and it turned blue. And in instructions in 8, it says if the web address changes to blue text, right click the web address and remove hyperlink. Select the first paragraph, which is Jennifer Garcia, and then on the mini toolbar, apply bold, and then font size 16. Select the second and the third paragraphs and apply the bold and change the font size to 12. With the 2 paragraphs still selected, on the Home tab, which is where we're at, and the paragraph group, align right. So these are your alignments button. This is left, center, and right, and this one is justify. If you ever get confused, you see how I'm hovering. This is the cool thing about Microsoft Office programs, is that if you just hover long enough, you'll get a pop-up box that shows what it is and what it does. Number 12 says click anywhere in the paragraph, the first paragraph, where it says Jennifer Garcia, and in the paragraph group, click the Borders button. So paragraph group, here's the drop down for borders, and then at the bottom, click Borders and Shading. In the Borders and Shading dialog box, on the Borders tab, and this is the Borders tab, we got Page Border and Shading, we want borders. Be sure the first style, a single solid line, is selected, and it is, because I can see it in blue. So we've got settings, style, color, width, and the preview. Click the width arrow and then click 3-point. So we just go down. To the right, underneath of the preview, click the bottom border of the diagram. So these are hard to see, but you can see there's a line up there. That's the top. This happens to be the bottom because there's a grayish line. And once you click that, you can see that bottom border show up. Under Apply To, make sure that paragraph is selected, and it should be. That's the only one in there, and it's usually default to that, but always make sure. Then compare your screen with figure 2.19. And so you can't see the instructions, but yes, it's fine. So 15 says click OK to display the 3-point line below Jennifer's name, which extends from the left margin all the way to the right margin. After you create a document format that you like, we will then use it again because we're going to create a template. So display the Save As dialog box. The fastest way to do it is F12. And so we've got F12. In the lower portion of the dialog box, in the Save As type, so Save As, we are going to click this arrow and you are going to click Word Template. Okay, so make sure that you've got Word Template selected. Once you've done that, at the top where it says Save As, the dialog box, we've got a pathway that you're going to be comparing it to. So it says, that's file name, sorry, it says Custom Office Templates. So just make sure that that's up there, the templates. It's important that we've got templates. And you want to also make sure when you do this that it's going to the right spot. Okay, this is important. So in the file name, you are going to type in your last name, then your first name, and then 2B, letterhead, and template. And I'm going to go ahead and put in the underscores. And make sure you're still the Save As is under Word Template. And then click Save. Now click the File tab and go to the Backstage View. This is the Backstage View. And close. Not exit, but close, because we want to leave Word up if we can. And these are the instructions. Let me close these down. And so now let's go ahead and we're going to create a cover letter. This is 2.14. So we're going to create a cover letter from a template. So with the word open but no documents displayed, go ahead and go back to your File tab and display the Backstage View, and then click New. And then we are going to compare our screen to figure 2.12. And then question 2 says, under the suggested searches, click Personal. Now here you will see there's a personal here. It is not this one. It is Featured and then Personal. You want this personal. And then you will see that we have our template. So go ahead and click your letterhead template to retrieve it. And if you didn't save it as a template, unfortunately, you're going to have to start over with the instructions because you won't have it there and then you'll get it wrong. So I apologize if you didn't get a chance to really follow the rules, but hopefully you did follow me and choosing the right personal tab and saving it as a template. We are now on question 4 and we're almost done with this activity for 2.14. So now you're going to display the Save As box again, and I'm going to just do an F12. And we're going to navigate to our Word Chapter 2 folder. Again, I saved mine underneath of BUSA 120, then Chapter 2. And using your own first and last name, Save the file as your last name and then underscore, first name underscore 2B underscore cover letter. So go ahead and just save it right in there. And then on the Insert tab, we're going to Insert. And in the Header and Footer group, click the footer. So right here. And then at the bottom, you're going to click Edit Footer. And then in the Insert group, so Insert Group, and this is in the ribbon, click Document Info. And then you're going to choose File Name. And then click Close the Header Footer. So you'll see that our file name, because we named it, your last name, first name, 2B, and then cover letter. Same thing is up here, right? Once you save a document, you see it here. So now we've just added that as a footer. Go ahead and just close that up and hit your save. Another way to save is Control S, and you can see that when I hover over the save icon. It is a lot faster to use your Control S instead of picking up your mouse and moving it over there. By the way, a word of advice is to periodically save your documents every once in a while. In your instructions, it will tell you to do that. It's always a good idea. Okay, now we're going on to Objective 5, Activity 2.15. On the File tab, we're going to the Backstage View. Open that up and go down to Options and display the Word Options dialog box, which is here. So these are referred to as dialog boxes if I haven't told you that before, and this is the Word Options. On the left side of the Word Options dialog box, click Proofing, and then under Auto Correct here, Options, click the Auto Correct Options button. In the Auto Correct dialog box, click the Auto Correct tab, and actually mine's defaulted to that Auto Correct. And then under Replace, you're going to type resume misspelled. There is a rhyme and reason for that. And you will notice that because I've already done this, it's in there, but I'm going to go ahead and do it again. And then under with, you will type resume the correct way. And it says if another student's already added this autocorrect entry, a replace button will display. And so go ahead and click that. And that's because I've already done this. If you happen to be doing this for the second time around, just for extra practice, go ahead and do this. But if you're doing it for the first time, you won't see that. So now you get a pop-up box. I'm just going to go ahead. Yeah, I do want to redefine it. I'm just going to click yes. Then we're going to click Add if the entry already exists. Click Replace, and that's what I just showed you. And number 5 in the autocorrect dialog box underneath the Replace, let's go ahead and type in computer, and we are going to misspell this one again. And then we are going to type in the correct spelling of computer. And I'm going to go ahead and click Replace really quick, and then yes. And then click Add or Replace, whatever you need to do, and then click OK 2 times. So we've got OK here and then an OK here. Now we're going to be inserting the current date and creating a cover letter in 2.16. So press Control and then End on your keyboard, and this should take you to the last paragraph marking here, or to the end of your paper. And the same goes with Control Home, by the way. It takes you up to the top of your paper. So Control End, and this moves you to the insertion point, to the blank line in the letterhead. And then you're going to press Enter 3 times. On the Insert tab, in the text group, so we have to go all the way over, click the Insert Date and Time. So insert date and time. And then click the third date and time. click OK to create the date line. Press enter 4 times, which should leave 3 blank lines, and then type the following inside address on 4 lines, but do not press enter following the last line. Again, do not press enter following the last line. So let me quickly type this. You will notice that Mary has a hyphenated name, and that hyphenated name will come up as incorrect. Don't touch it though, because it really isn't incorrect. It just looks that way. And I am going to correct these two. And then the last one. And then don't forget, do not press enter. Again, don't forget to proofread to make sure that you do not have any errors. And then once you've done that, the recommended space between the date line and inside address varies slightly among business experts, so office reference manuals. However, all indicate the space can be from 1 to 10 blank lines depending on the length of your letter. So I'm just reading information in number 3, and the reason why I'm reading that is because in the real world, when we are doing an actual letter, let me turn this off for 1 second, you really will be following these rules. Your date is always 5 down from the top, which is really what we ended up doing, and then 4 down, and then when we get ready to start a letter, we're going to go 2 more down, and you'll see that in just a minute. But I did want to bring that to you, that this is the most common way to format a letter. So that's all that information is in 3, what I just read. Let me go ahead and turn my show hide back on, and then in number 4 it says press enter 2 times to leave 1 blank line, and then compare your screen to 2.24. Type the salutation, "Dear Ms. Walker," hyphen, and then Holzman, and then colon. And then press the enter key 2 more times. And it looks like we've got like 1 blank line in between here. So even though we've got 2 paragraph markings here, we're actually getting ready to start typing here. So there is 1 blank line in between. Type exactly as shown the following opening paragraph that includes an international word usage error. And I will show you that in just a second. So let me go ahead and type this information. And there you go. Which is misspelled, but leave that the way it is. And then press the space bar 1 time. And then type exactly as shown. And so we are going to type computer the wrong way, and then we are going to do the space bar, and it should change it, and it does. So it changed it to the correct computer. And now we're going to go ahead and type the following information, including the misspelled words. So just be mindful of that as you're typing. Now, you may see that behind my periods, I might do 2 spaces. That's old school. It's acceptable now to do 1 space. I try to do the 1 space, but honestly, we learned how to type back in the 80s, and it was 2 spaces. Let me stop right here. You see that this is resume or me misspelled. And so I'm going to go ahead and put a comma in, as it says in number 7, and then type the comma. Notice that when you type the comma, the autocorrect replaces resume with resume. So just letting you know that we've done that. And now we did this press the space bar 1 more time, and then go ahead and finish typing. And I do have one misspelling, and so I will go back and grab that in just a second. And then a period. So it looks like I got a couple. And FPCC is not misspelled, but we're not going to bother that. Let's go ahead and click or press the enter 2 times. Now I'm in number 9. And on the insert tab, we're going into the ribbon insert, you are going to go over to the text group, which is all the way over towards the right, and click the object button, and then insert. We're going to click on text from file, and from your student data files you're going to locate the W02 cover letter text. So you will remember that at the beginning of this lecture that I had said to go ahead and save those files and download them and save them. And this is what those were. So go ahead and click insert. And once you've done that, number 10 says it does say scroll is necessary to display the lower half of the letter of your screen. Well, you can see all of my screen because I've set mine to 100% for the zoom, so you should be able to see all of it. Press enter 1 time to leave a blank line between the last paragraph of the letter and the complimentary closing, and type sincerely with a comma, and then press enter 4 times. And this allows for someone to sign their name. And so Jennifer is the signer, and she's also the writer of this letter. And so after that, you are going to press enter 2 times because we also have an enclosure. And if you read this, you would see that there's something enclosed. It's probably her resume and some references. All right. So now that you've got that, let's save this. I'm going to do Control S this time to save instead of picking up my mouse. Now we're going to 2.17. Press Control Home to go to the top of the document, and on the Home tab in the editing group, click Find. So Home, Editing, and Find. And then we're going to go and click Find here. And now in the left-hand navigation pane, we also have navigation here. So after you bring up this pane, there is a search box. You are going to type AC in there. And then if necessary, scroll down slightly, but it's not. I've got a smaller screen, I suppose. You know, if I had the screen a little bit larger, and actually, look at that. That does help you a little bit, doesn't it? It's going to bring this up, and you're going to see anything that begins with AC or has AC in it. It has highlighted it for us. I love this feature. So these words aren't necessarily spelled wrong, but the reason why we did this is because what we're going to be doing is in the search box, we are going to type as necessary to display the word accessibility in the search box. Or click in the search box again, excuse me, and type necessary to display the word accessibility. I'm sorry, go ahead and click in the box and then type accessibility. And then in the document, double click it, and double clicking helps you to accept the entire word. And then you're going to type available to replace the word. Click the X in the navigation pane, and then on the Home tab in the editing group, click replace. And in the find and replace dialog box, in the find what, you are going to type FPCC, and in the replace box you are going to type the whole word, Florida Port Community and then college. And then we're not quite done yet. It does want you to compare your screen with the information. In the lower left corner of the dialog box, click the More button and expand the dialog box. And then in the search options, which is down here, we are going to match case. And all that means is you see that this is all uppercase. And so anytime you see all uppercase ones, we're going to replace it with this. Again, make sure that you do not have any typos, because whatever you have here, it's going to replace the FPCC, and then when you upload your homework, it'll count it off because you had typos. 9 says in the Find and Replace dialog box, click Replace All. And then to replace both instances, and you see that it says 2 replacements, go ahead and click OK. And then in the Find and Replace dialog box, click the Match Case and click Less, and then close the dialog box. Go ahead and save really fast. And once you're done with that, we are now moving on to 2.18. We're going to learn how to drag and drop. This is a pretty cool feature if you have a large document and you really want to go fast. Sometimes I find that it's easier just to retype it or cut and paste, but the drag and drop feature is definitely a nice feature. So I'm going to skip number 1 because it's just asking you to take a look at the figure 2.29, selecting text in a box and shortcuts of what to do, and we've already used some of those. So number 2 says be sure you can view the entire body of the letter. Let me zoom out to 100. There you go. And in the paragraph that begins with a permanent position, in the second line, locate and double click days. So the second line, and we're going to find days, and we're going to double click. And again, double clicking highlights the entire word. Point to the selected word to display the pointer. So you can see that my cursor or pointer changes. You're going to now drag, so that's a left click. You're going to drag to the right until the dotted vertical line that floats next to the pointer is positioned to the right of the word hours. To the right of the word hours in the same line. And then you're going to release the mouse button to move the text. So now we have of our hours, days, and. Doesn't make sense, but we'll get this fixed. So go ahead now and select the word hours. So double click, and then you're going to drag that to the left of the word hour, or excuse me. And then the previous location of the word days, that's where that was. So of hours or days. Now click anywhere in the document to deselect the text. And then examine the text that you moved and make sure that everything reads well, and add or remove spaces as necessary. Looks like it's okay. By the way, I don't think I've told you, but these little dots in between, those are actually space marks. When you turn it off, you can see that. So number 7 says to press your hold down the control key, and then in the paragraph that begins I am available, click anywhere in the first sentence to select the entire sentence, and see that it's done that. And release the control, and then drag the selected sentence to the end of the paragraph by positioning the small vertical line that floats with the pointer on the left of the paragraph mark. So on the left of the paragraph mark. So we are going here. And then go ahead and click Save again. Locate the paragraph that begins, "You can contact me." And we're right here. And then click to position the insertion point and the blank paragraph above the paragraph. So right in there. And then press Enter one time. On the Insert tab, in the Tables group, so Insert, Tables, in the table grid, we want third row, and then click second square because we want to insert a 2x3 table. Now your rows go across. These go across. So if you think about a row in a rowboat. We're rowing across the lake. So these are rows. Whoops. And so when you want to do a column, columns are up and down, and columns hold up coliseums, if that makes sense to you. And you'll remember that. So when we get ready to get to the Excel chapters, you won't forget that because we're going to be working with cells that are made up of rows and columns. Okay, again, we want a 2 by 3. So we need 3 rows and 2 columns. Okay, and so go ahead and just click that, and you can see that it inserted it there, right in the middle. In the first cell, we are going to type Microsoft Access, and then press your tab, and then Test Database. And then it says press the tab again. Now, if you press enter, what that does is it makes your this cell larger so you can type under it. So you can see that. So that's not what we want to do. Here we want to just press tab and go to the next area, and then you're going to type Microsoft Word, and then create and mail form letters, and then tab again, and then point slightly outside the upper left corner of the table to display the table move handle, which is this right here. And once you've got that, then what we're going to do is with the pointer, you're going to click one time to select the entire table. So just click that. And on the ribbon underneath the tools, click the Layout tab. So we're going to go to Layout. And then in the cell size group, so cell size, I'm sorry, here, we're going to go in here, and then we're going to click Auto Fit. And then to have Word choose the best column widths for the 2 columns based on the text you entered. So you're just going to go down to auto fit contents, and so it's just going to do it automatically. So it just makes it smaller and moves it. Next, we're going to, with the table still selected, underneath the table tools, and we're underneath the table tools, we're now going to go to Design, and then in the table styles group, which is right here, go ahead and click the More button. And under the plain tables, which is plain tables, you'll see that we've got different sections. We are going to click on the second style, which is called Table Grid Light. You will see that there are 3, 6, 7. So if you hover, you get Table Grid Light, and you see the name. With the table still selected on the Home tab and the Paragraph group, so we need to go back to the Home tab, we are going to click Center. And then the table centers between the left and the right margin, so it just moves it right over. Go ahead and click anywhere to deselect the table and quickly save. And then it says to compare your screen. So I just noticed that I had kind of forgotten to put in Microsoft Excel and then enter software test data. So I did just correct that. So everyone just be mindful of that. Sorry about that. Okay, so now number 4, or I'm sorry, not number 4. We are looking at now 2.20. We're almost done. We're going to do some spell checking. So let's look at number 1. We are going to position the body of the letter on the screen, and so we can examine everything, so we can locate those wavy lines. And the wavy lines can be either blue or red. So blue, if you're familiar with Word, that's grammatical. And red means misspelling. So we do have some misspellings. In your instructions, it does say activating spelling and grammar checking alert. So please make sure that you read that if you're not familiar with word. It is kind of like what I just told you anyway, but go ahead and read that. Number 2 in 2.20 says in the lower left corner of your screen in the status bar, locate and point, but do not click on the icon. It looks like a book with an X. So this is your status bar. There's a couple of things going on here. This is your read mode. This is our print layout. I call it like normal. And then we go to the web layout. Over here we've got page 1 of 1. It shows you our word count. And this is the book with the X on it that we're going to be looking at. And if you read the screen tip, it says word found proofing errors. Click or tap to correct them. And so I don't know if you're familiar with that or not, but this is kind of a cool feature that Microsoft Office has here. And then one more, this is for macros. We'll be using those later. Lastly, we are almost done. Let's go ahead and begin to correct our misspelled words, if you will. So in the paragraph that begins with a permanent, in the second line, locate the word temporary with the wavy red line and point to the word and right click. And then click temporary to correct the spelling. So all they're doing is really telling you, 2 or 3 ways to correct words. Honestly, I would just do an F7. F7 is the fastest way to do your spell check, but it doesn't want us to do that. We're going to learn a couple of different ways to correct. So in the next line, locate the word and that's misspelled and displays with the red line under it. It's not misspelled, it's just that we have 2 ands. And go ahead and right click that one. And then on the shortcut menu, it says click deleted repeated word to delete the duplicate word. Press Control Home to move the insertion point to the beginning of the document and click the Review tab. And so now you're going to go in a different way and we're going to click on the spelling and grammar. This is in the proofing group. And now we're going to bring up this small navigation dialog or navigation pane over here, and it's going to put in the rest of our misspelled words. The other way to do it, like it said in your instructions, the shortcut is F7, and that also starts the spelling and grammar command. In the spelling pane, click ignore all, and that's because we have Hellsman. That's the first word. You'll remember we just did a Control Home to go to the top, so Hellsman is the first one. We want to ignore all because those aren't misspelled. The next one that is misspelled, we want to change that. And so when you look at that, which is really which, so just change, click that. And then the next one is use. We do want to change that to used, or used to use. So change. And then notice that the next error is a potential spelling error. In the spelling pane, change references to the suggestion of references. And then notice that the next error is a possible grammar error, which is true. And then go ahead and change the A to an an. And then continue the spelling and grammar check and correct the spelling of convenience. And when Word displays the message spelling and grammar check is complete, click OK. Don't forget to do a save. And now let's use the Thesaurus. That's just basically a research tool that lists synonyms, words that have same or similar meaning. So you're going to scroll so you can view the entire body of the letter, which you can. And then in the paragraph that begins with a permanent, double click to select the word diversity. And so it's towards the bottom. And then in the proofing group, click Thesaurus. The fastest way to do that also is not just clicking here, but Control F7 gets you there too, or sorry, Shift F7 gets you there as well. And once you're there, we are now going to look at different ways to use diversity, and that just gives you a list. So with this open in the Thesaurus pane, under Variety, point to the word variety and then click the arrow that displays and click insert. And then that changes the word diversity to variety. In the paragraph that begins as my resume, double click the word exceptional, and then on the ribbon click the thesaurus again, and then we are going to look for excellent, and you see this is an adjective now, so excellent, and go ahead and click the arrow and then insert. And then close the thesaurus pane, thesaurus, and then click the File tab. We're going to go Backstage View, Info tab, it defaults to that. And then on the right hand side, we're going to go to Show All Properties. If you used your template, notice that it is indicated to the right of the template. So that's not showing up. So we're good. So in the tags box, so you'll see we've got some lines here. We're going into tag. You are going to type cover letter. And in the subject box, type your course name and section number. And then in the author box, you should see your name here and edit if necessary. I've got my name there. On the left, click the print display, and then we're in preview. And if it's necessary, return to the document and make any necessary changes. Well, we don't need to because I can't see anything red. We've already done everything. Go ahead and save the document one last time. And you can try to print if you want. I don't necessarily need you to print for me because now we're just going to upload this. So I want to bring one thing to your attention. It does not say to turn off the show hide. So I'm going to leave mine on. Go ahead and close this window. And then let's go ahead and upload. And to upload, you remember this screen, we've got choose the file, and we are going into, oh, got to go all the way back, hang on. I'm going to go into chapter 2, and you might recall that we saved it with our name, with the underscores, and once it says upload, you do have to go ahead and click the upload, and then go ahead and submit for grading. And so it looks like I did not have a chance to refresh. So after you refresh, you might have to like bring it back up like I just did. Go ahead and submit it for grading. Once that happens, then you're all set, and it'll grade it for you. One thing that I do want to talk about is that, I don't think I told you this, you know, you've got more or unlimited attempts to turn your homework in. So just keep that in mind. You can also, you know, if you get a 90 or above, if you want to do it, you can redo it. If not, just move on to the next assignment. Don't spin your wheels. A 90 and above is an A all day long. But you can, if you want to try it a couple more times to practice to get 100%. That's fine. All right, so that's it. This video was a little bit longer than I wanted it to be, and I apologize. We're just close to an hour. But this is a lecture video, and so if you were in class, you'd get an hour and 15 minutes of my time as well. You know what to do if you run into questions or you need help on this. Go ahead and use the Ask My Instructor a question in Blackboard and complete the simulation. By the way, the simulation is much easier this week. I did do that as well. Make sure that you're using Google Chrome and nothing else. That should help you. It's a little bit different though, the simulation, so I will tell you that, but you shouldn't have any issues this week. And then round the week out with your quiz. Don't forget to read your chapter first. All right, everyone. Good luck, and let me know if you have questions.